I would say some of the things that are important for any firm that's trying to be visible in AI search overviews. This customer sentiment is very important to the results. So if you're a firm that doesn't take care of your clients in a really meaningful way that's visible in the marketplace, a la reviews, you're likely to not perform very well in these AI overviews or these AI search results.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Sterling Family Law Show. You have the normal crew here. I am Tyler Dolph, your host, and with me today is the co-founder of our very own family law firm, Sterling Lawyers. This is Tony Carls. On the last episode, we gave you the framework to measure whether your SEO is working. Today, we're going to explain that even if you have good measurement, it might show a troubling trend and why that trend is not your fault, right? We are in the wave of AI and it is changing everything and it is hitting family law firms harder than most practice areas. Today, we're going to talk about what's happening in the space and what you can do about it. We have 5 major realities of the 2026, what we're calling the visibility crisis. Tony, the first one is the great decoupling, why rankings are up, but results are down.
Yeah, I mean, this started happening around September, I believe, of 24, and it's been continuing to go throughout all of this year and last year. And what we're seeing, decoupling means exactly what it means. Typically in the past, when you saw traffic grow organically, when you see impressions grow organically, you would see your traffic grow organically. We've seen very much the opposite as of recently, as of 2024, and it's just accelerated, where we're seeing greater visibility but actually lower throughput from a traffic perspective. And it has everything to do with AI overviews, as well as searches being done in ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, pulling data in and not actually. So users are getting information from you. They're seeing your brand, but they're not actually ever getting to your website, which is what the decoupling is. So what we're seeing a lot of is greater visibility, improved rankings, but we're not seeing direct to site traffic. So a lot of what we talked about in our last podcast is vanity metrics. So if you're tracking vanity metrics, you're probably very disappointed right now because you're seeing some vanity metrics perform really well, but you're seeing traffic not actually perform really well. So it's a bit confusing, but when you dig into it, what you're seeing is greater visibility through AI overviews and significant gaps in traffic actually getting to your site.
Yeah, I think the stats we have is the median law firm saw a 19% decline in organic traffic in 2025. Some firms dropping nearly 80%. But for most of them, rankings didn't change at all. Just the traffic stopped coming.
Correct.
What can firms do? What can they look at to understand if this is happening to them? Do they pull up Google Search Console and look at impressions and clicks over the last 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be one really good place to start diving in. What you'll very likely see is if you zoom out and you look at I think the longest term you can pull is 16 months in Google Search Console. If you do that, you're going to see your impressions either staying the same or going up, and you're going to see your click traffic actually going in the opposite direction. So it's going to look very much like a pretty weird graph in some ways, because some of your metrics are performing better. If you overlaid rankings on it as well, you're going to see continued pattern. So that's how you know it's happening to you. The biggest question is it impacting your business? So some people that have lost traffic have seen their waterfall regress or not stay the same or get worse, which means the number of inbound inquiries, so phone calls and web leads, qualified leads and sets go down. Other firms are not seeing that because they're replacing that traffic and visibility through through AI overviews and AI search. So that's what we would like to see. There's a fair amount of overlap between what we do to rank sites organically from an SEO perspective, as well as what helps your visibility in the AI models from AI overviews. So if you've been doing that well over the period, if you've been building a site that's structurally sound with lots of robust information, not just the same information over and over again, you're probably performing pretty well. That's what we've generally seen. If you have thin content where every single page is a different variation of divorce lawyer, you probably have seen your traffic dip significantly because you have a very thin website. We've seen several fairly large sites from a page count perspective see fairly significant traffic reductions that actually negatively impacted their business because what they had done historically is just build out tons and tons of pages of all the different variants of divorce lawyer. So Milwaukee divorce lawyer, Milwaukee family lawyer, Milwaukee military family lawyer, Milwaukee, so on and so forth, divorce lawyer variant. All of those pages are filled with thin content to say the same exact thing. They're not helping at all. They're actually hurting the site. So there's a whole bunch of law firms that look like that. And there's others that have done it the right way all along, and they're the ones that are winning now.
Yes. Our second point is around AI and the AI generated answer boxes. And I just want to read something that we just got delivered. And it is in January 2025, the AI answer box appeared at on roughly 6.5% of queries. By July, that peaked at nearly 25%, and now they're sitting around 15%. But I think what makes this devastating for family law is 88% of the queries that trigger AI are overviews and informational based searches. And this is exactly the content that family law firms use, right? Guides about divorce timelines, custody explanations, property division overviews. So this is impacting family law in a major way.
Yeah. So the firms that are winning are those that are being referenced in those AI overviews. So they have really good pages for that type of content, like how to file for divorce in your state, how child custody works. And you're deep diving into the information that you can give on a website without giving legal advice. Those sites are being referenced in those AI overviews. So people are starting to see their brands. So it's changing their behavior because you're seeing direct site visits happen as a result of that because they're seeing the information that they're looking for. It's being collated by AI, and then you're being referenced on the side as supporting the AI overview. They're then going to the site through that process. So you're seeing site traffic change in terms of where it was coming from in the past to where it's coming from now. And sites that just focused on those like super low funnel divorce lawyer keywords, they're the ones that have been hurt the most because they don't have good, robust content that's helping them rank for all of the research type topics that people want to review before they start making a decision on who they're going to work with.
Yeah, pretty wild. What can a firm do as far as understanding if this is affecting them or not? Is it like doing some incognito searches to see if they're showing up versus their competitors for some of these?
You can do that. There are definitely a bunch of tools that will help. That you can just plug your website in, explain a little bit about your site, and it will then give you your visibility in the different AI platforms, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, so on and so forth. And it'll tell you, here are the queries that are most frequently used, and here's your visibility, as well as here are the other people that are visible for that same set of information. So it'll basically aggregate it for you, and you can see like how well are you represented, or how poorly are you represented, or not represented at all. And it kind of gives you some insight on where are the important things to start thinking about ranking for and building content around versus what you've done in the past. You don't necessarily need to use a tool. One of the things that you could do is if you're using Claude or Gemini, you could easily take your website, explain what you do as a firm, and tell it to analyze your website and give you a topical cluster of content that you could build to improve your website's authority on a particular topic. And it's going to give you a whole bunch of topical ideas that you could start leveraging, where you can start seeing your content gaps, especially the important ones.
Family law isn't like other practice areas. Your callers are not shopping for a service. They're looking for someone who makes them feel safe enough to share the worst thing happening in their life. The firm that hears them first wins every time. And that's what changed everything at Sterling.
We eventually built that system into 4 actionable steps. On this free training, Mary Sankey, who leads our sales team, is going to break down the entire 4-step sales system. She is Sterling's sales manager. She's the one who runs it every single day. So go ahead and register below for the sales secrets of an $18 million family law firm. I'll see you there. Just jumping back to the list, our next point is around the zero-click searches. I think for a long time, we've assumed that Google's whole model is to get rid of websites entirely, to just be the information source that users needed. And so we're seeing these zero-click searches continue to increase. You're seeing the same thing on your end?
Yep, it's happening more and more. And that's why what you're seeing in the data is impressions showing up. It shows up as an impression in a ranking, but you're not getting any traffic. That's because they're just getting their answer in the AI overview. So what's important is that your brand has an opportunity to be referenced in that section, because users prefer results that cite their information. So and different models are doing it differently, but a lot of them will show you where they pulled the info from, so you can go to the next step and review that. Where did you pull this information on how to file for a divorce? Oh, Sterling Lawyers is the source. Interesting. I'm going to go look at their website. So we're seeing a lot of that.
Love it. Okay, so really, the new playbook is to win visibility even when nobody clicks. And it's everything you've been talking about, having your content be super authoritative and focused and not just copy and paste it from page to page to page. Is there anything else as it relates to prioritizing your agency or your team internally on how to counteract some of this?
I would say some of the things that are important for any firm that's trying to be visible in AI search overviews is customer sentiment is very important to the results. So if you're a firm that doesn't take care of your clients in a really meaningful way that's visible in the marketplace, a la reviews, you're likely to not perform very well in these AI overviews or these AI search results. So that's really important. And then the second thing is video content has continued to become more and more important, primarily because in a video, when we're talking about a topic, the way we talk about it with natural language is extraordinarily different than if I were to write an article about this same exact information. It's going to be buttoned up. It's going to be pristine. It's going to be exact. It's not going to be this back and forth that we're currently having, which means when you do an AI research project, it's going to want to, its starting point is all the natural language you're going to dump into the chat, which is not going to be overly thought out and perfectly conducted question. It's going to have rambling and nonsense and ums and uhs and like I think and blah, blah, blah. It's going to have all of that stuff in it. It's going to feel like a natural language question. If your content doesn't have any of that or isn't referencing that type of language, you're likely not to perform very well in AI search results. So, why video is important is if you're having a conversation about a topic, the way you have that conversation and talk about it is very different than how you would write about it. So pairing those two things together and leveraging the transcript on the page and leveraging the ability to take all of that and make a really good article, but pairing those two things together is becoming more and more important. And that's why firms that have invested in that in the future and are integrating their video content with their website content, they're performing better, but it's because they have a lot more natural language evidence on their site than firms that don't.
The world is changing before our eyes. It's pretty wild. Our fifth and final point is exactly that. Do not measure what you've been measuring in 2020 and 2021. The game has changed. And so you need to measure differently. How should firms think about what they're measuring and what they're looking at on a daily or weekly basis to know if they're winning or losing?
One of the things that we talk about in our our 8 waterfall metrics is it's a category called users, and it's really visibility. So like you should know how visible you are from a bunch of different traffic opportunities. So whether that is different chat platforms like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, or it is Google search, or it is maps, or it is paid search. How visible are you in these different channels? And getting your benchmarks there is really important, because that's going to directly impact the next one down, which is inquiries. So if you don't know how things are shifting from one category to the next, or how you might have lost some direct traffic to your website, but you're still just as visible in AI search results. Maybe your SEO metrics look more poor, but you're getting picked up here, and nothing has actually happened with your waterfall, with your business. So you're still doing good, and you're performing good, and you're growing, and that's all great. But understanding why is really important, because then you can better understand where you should continue to invest, because you're going to see the pattern of where things are moving to and from.
This is pretty wild stuff, hot off the press, right? The crisis is real, but so is the opportunity. So firms that understand this shift and adopt their strategy now are going to own the visibility landscape in the future. Those that will wait, it's going to be really hard to buy back the market. And so in our next episode, we're going to cover how this disruption how to turn this into a scaling advantage, including AI visibility, multi-platform visibility. Make sure to check that out. And if you missed our third episode in this series, where we break down the metrics and framework for knowing whether your SEO is actually working, make sure to check that out, because that will help build on everything that we are going to share with you. Tony, thank you so much for your time with this. Looking forward to continuing the journey.